delay. We had some technical issues, which my co-hosts have made fun of me for thoroughly, and I have a feeling the night will continue in such demeanor. Welcome to another episode of the Libertarian Christian Podcast. This is a project, one of the projects of the Libertarian Christian Institute, to tease out the rest of the evening. I am here with Norman Horn, and we've got some other people on with us. How you doing today, Norm?
I am doing so great. Happy to be here. This is an amazing night, and I am so happy and proud of what we've accomplished. This is going to be great.
Yeah, so this is our 300th episode, and it turns out that every 100 episodes we do a live stream, and we have a lot of people join us. We're already, I think, at the number of people. It says we've got 17 at this moment watching us, and that's actually more than I think the first the 100th episode live stream actually had. So we've improved quite a bit. So man, how long has it been? It's been like what?
Well,
it's like 300 weeks ago we started this.
Well, maybe a few more than that, but it is on the verge of going on like what, 5 years? Yeah. Well,
we've been planning on this we had been planning for the podcast, and we'd been saying, hey, we should do a podcast, and we finally did it. We rolled out a plan, we stuck to it. We've in 300 episodes, we've done 100% original episodes. We haven't rebroadcast our own episodes, which is kind of a cool thing. I know a lot of people will look at 300 episodes and be like, wow, people comment on that number and say, wait, that's really good. Because a lot of times, podcasts, peter out around, I think like 8 episodes is what the average is, which is quite interesting. Anyway, so we're really excited to have a lot of people here live. We have some guests, and of course we have an announcement. And so what we want to do is get the audience involved here. What I'm going to do, if I can figure this out here, there we go. I'm going to add the chat. There we go. And I can show comments. And what I want to do is kind of ask people, if you've been a listener of the Libertarian Christian Podcast, I would want to know what has been some of your favorite episodes or moments from the podcast. Norm, do you have anything you can, while we're kind of waiting for people to comment, what have been some of your, other than filling in for me?
Well, I mean, certainly some of the best memories I have of it are actually some of the really early stuff that we did. There were just some really excellent things that you and me and Nick Gosling put together that were just epic in scope and awesome in what we were able to talk about and get through and just explain about our philosophy and about theology and about history. And in fact, those are still in many respects some of the most popular episodes that we have. So that's definitely a very fond memory I have of it. Because it was something, like you said, like we had sort of really it was before LCI was LCI and it was just LCC. I was doing occasional podcasting here and there, but it wasn't regular and it wasn't, as well organized. It didn't have the production aspects. And it was important for us to really take a step back and say, all right, this needs to be a thing. It needs to be well produced. We're going to plan it really well. We're going to have regularity to it. And, the product shows. The results speak for themselves. Thousands of episodes or thousands of downloads of episodes every week. And, it's really remarkable, the response that we're getting to it. So I am, of course, extremely proud of what Doug has done in getting us to this point. Certainly it is that, you, Doug, have been the driving factor in getting us there. And so that's really amazing. So I'm kind of curious, like, what are some of the coolest things that you remember from it?
Oh man, it's funny. I've been thinking about like, how am I going to recount, 300 episodes of a podcast? And the first thing that came to mind is my very first podcast that I was really nervous about interviewing the guest was the one I did with Russ Roberts.
Oh yeah, I remember how nervous you were about that.
And it's funny because he's like the nicest guy in the world, and he's very non-judgmental, and he doesn't seem to have any sort of chip on his shoulder about like you better show me a good time if you're gonna waste my like he's got none of that, and but it was like I just really wanted to impress him with a good interview because he's usually on the one side of it, so this is like the guy who knows how to interview people in the libertarian world. And I'm interviewing him. It's like, I really, really want to do a good job. And that was the That was the first moment I thought of. I was like, oh, I was really nervous about that. The second one was, and look at me just talking about what I'm nervous about, was Brian Kaplan. But
yeah.
I really have a lot of fun talking with people where it really easily just gets cordial and you can have that conversation rather than it's more of a Q&A. And I think over the years, the style of the show has gone to the sense of it's more of a conversation than just me asking questions of people. And sometimes that's just the way it is because of the nature of the person I'm interviewing. But I like it when it's a little bit more, a little bit more conversational. And that's kind of how, that goes.
Yeah, sure. That's sort of the nature in many respects of just any good podcast, right? That's like, look at I mean, we even take inspiration from folks like Joe Rogan or Tim Ferriss, these great interviewers who do just amazing work all the time. And we like to listen to those and take inspiration from them.
Yeah. No, and some of my favorite moments have been I've interviewed Bradley Thompson, who who wrote a book called The Revolutionary Mind. That was a pretty influential book. And I also have it's actually forthcoming, but I have interviewed Spike Cohen. That was a really fun interview. So that is coming up, I believe, in 2 episodes. So in a couple weeks, everybody will get to see and hear that. It was recorded on video. And I know that the video editing all came out fine because I got that info today. So it's gonna get published. So look forward to that. I really enjoyed interviewing Noelle Mering on her book Awake Not Woke, which was really good. And of course, Phil Magnus was really great on critical race theory as well. So that's been sort of my more recent memory of here's who I've interviewed. There's some people doing some things in the comments here. This is probably the most important question you'll get, Norm.
No.
Are you streaming from a dystopian future?
I am approaching you live from the Nebuchadnezzar. That's if you understand that reference, then you're one of us. So
yeah. So Jacob says his 3 out of 4 part series or 3/4 part series on what is a Christian libertarian. Some of your favorite episodes.
Definitely.
We've got Libertarian Dave. I'm guessing, are you from Texas, Dave? It looks like you might be, given the avatar that you've chosen. The early episode with the lady that opposed the war on drugs. She founded a website that spoke about treating trauma with trauma. I believe that was Christina Dent.
All right, cool.
Someone else is saying they like the Al Mohler debate recap.
Oh, man. Yeah. Well, the Al Mohler debate recap was probably not with R. Campbell Sproul, but those were different episodes. But that was actually pretty cool. Interviewing R.C. Sproul's son after. So R.C. passed away. I actually remember that. Like, I could recount those. I know exactly where I was when I found out, because R.C. was a influence of mine from long ago. And so being able to talk to R.C.'s son about his recollections of his father and just because R.C.'s son is kind of on board with us too in many respects. And so he's a good guy. He's a good fella. So that was definitely fun. Yeah,
good. The podcast with Peter Rollo introduced here. Somebody else here. Let's see. The series on LCI's core values. Oh, that's really good, because I was really excited to do that. We spent a lot of time preparing for those because it was really important that we kind of spell those out. So maybe another well, if you go back and listen to those episodes, you'll get a sense of why we created those episodes and why we created our core values. Joey, thanks for watching. I hope you can go back and watch all 299 or listen to all 299. You can watch them, I suppose. It'd be kind of a blank screen for most of them. Some of them we're doing videos. It really depends. We decide, differently there. So, wow. I love all the Kerry Baldwin episodes.
All the Kerry Baldwin
Return
episodes.
of the Bomba Squad.
Good stuff. Yep. Love that.
Oh man. Well, everybody, thank you so much for being here and telling us what you like. We get to hear from you, of course. I'm seeing a private chat window that someone's complaining that the chat is rigged. When gee, I wonder who's saying that. We'll bring that person on here shortly. Anywho, I'm really glad everybody's here to join us and just tell us what you like and tell us what you've enjoyed about our podcast. I like to hear about that. But we've got something really, really important here to share. And Norm, we were mentioning earlier that it's been in the making. That we were doing a podcast, when we started it 4 or 5 years ago. But we've I don't know, we've been cooking it up for about 3 or 4 months now, real seriously, and it's been sort of on the, in my mind, it's been on, I wouldn't say the back burner, but it's been sort of like a dream of mine to be like, hey, we should probably get to the point where we can create something like this. And we are going to, let me share something here on my screen. I want to add.
It is time.
Here. It is time. All right. Due to the nature of, here we go. All right. I'm going to bring it up here in just a second. So we've been having a lot of fun creating content. We've created content since 2008, starting with Norman. I think in 2009, 2010, there are some guest writers, myself included, joined on to libertarianchristians.com. And over the years, we've had a number of contributors to writing articles for the organization. And we've had a lot of guests. We've had a lot of partners on social media. We've had all kinds of people join together for the Libertarian Christian movement. And those people are all throughout the Liberty movement. They've been championing what we've been doing. Some of them are newer to us than others. And so we felt like this year that it was time to basically release another form of media, because our podcast is so popular. And we also know that a lot of people are listening to podcasts. And we also know that a lot of people are watching things on YouTube. And articles aren't just the only really good form of content that we can provide to Christians to make the Christian case for a free society. And so what I want to do is announce that we are creating and have created the Christians for Liberty Network, where we want to amplify diverse voices for the message of liberty. What this means basically is that the Libertarian Christian Podcast is not going to be the only podcast that's a project of the Libertarian Christian Institute. And, I'll just little tidbit of information. At the beginning of every episode, I say this is a project of the Libertarian Christian Institute. And the reason I say it that way, and have said it that way the entire run, excuse me, is because I knew that eventually we would have more podcasts. And we actually already have, and it's been sort of, we've had our Faith Seeking Freedom podcast earlier this year. We have the Good News, Bad News, the Libertarian Christian Roundtable. And so what we are going to do is, here we go. I skipped the slide there. We are going to add more podcasts. So we have the Libertarian Christian Podcast, and we are also adding the Reformed Libertarians Podcast. This is a brand new podcast hosted by Kerry Baldwin and Gregory Baus, and which we're going to learn a little bit more about here in just a second. Winograd, who is going to be the host of the Biblical Anarchy podcast. We have the Faith Seeking Freedom podcast. We'll give you more specific details about what's changing about that, which is not a whole lot, but a little bit. Good News, Bad News. Matthew Bellis decided to consume all of the other participants, and so he has just subsumed all of that show into himself. That's why he's the only person on that graphic. And then, of course, we got Mike Maharrey to be part of the Christians for Liberty Network with his Godarchy podcast, with a little bit of updated branding, and he's going to do that in partnership with the Libertarian Christian Institute. So here's what we're going to do. Norm, I don't know if you want to say anything in particular about the Christians for Liberty Network, what you're looking forward to seeing about it. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I would. And sort of dovetailing off what you've already said, is that the vision that we have always gone to and have tried to establish as the ethos of LCI is that it is not about any single person. It is not even about even a single organization. It's not even just about elevating LCI qua LCI, that it's about bringing a lot of different people together and having a true diversity of ideas even. And when we say that, the diverse voices, like we mean that in the really good and excellent sense, because it is important not to be monolithic. It's important to have lots of different ideas being tossed around. And yes, we all are on board with the ethos of libertarianism already. That's true, but it's not just from a single point of view. It's not just any one person's show. It's everybody coming together and producing stuff that a lot of different people can then consume. And there's so much there's so much potential in this to reach out in different ways to different types of people. There's a lot of different ways of thinking out there that we need to address. And so what we're going to be doing through this whole network is really like building up a new form, if you will, of communication with a broader audience. We know that this works through what we've already accomplished through the Libertarian Christian Podcast, Good News, Bad News, Faith Seeking Freedom, by bringing in these other pieces into the fold and expanding that into more in the future. There is going to be even more opportunity to make an impact here. And rest assured, if we want to make an even broader impact across the world, then we have to do it using as many means as possible. We are amazing at the written word, and we're really good with these with the podcast format already. And we're going to get even better here and turn this into, what amounts to something that can compete with your Daily Wires or your Fox News networks down the line. Maybe not Fox News per se, but you get the idea. Like this is, you get the idea. This is about amplifying the great voices for the cause of liberty and the cause of Christ.
Yeah. So I have a few comments here. This is so far my favorite one. Gonna have to shift all my daily, weekly podcast scheduling to catch all of these. This is really great.
Yeah.
We've got Olivia saying, "Congrats! Looking forward to listening to the new podcasts. I'm in. Sign me up." We also have this question, which I think is important to answer: what days are the Faith Seeking Freedom and Good News, Bad News? Those are as we create them. So the Faith Seeking Freedom, the goal is to have at least one a week and hopefully 2 a week. It just depends on the amount of questions that come in that we want to that we have the ability to answer. It also depends on just scheduling and time budgeting and that kind of thing.
I have a lot to do in my ship here, as you can see.
That's true.
Yeah.
And so the other thing with Good News, Bad News is we're aiming for once a week. And thankfully Matthew gets to come over and visit me every week, and we can put something together. So you guys can pray that all happens. And we'll share a little bit later some other things that you can share with. There are lots of comments. I'm not going to be able to address every single one of them, but we are going to try to get these out on all the podcasters, no matter which podcast this is, whichever one that you're thinking of, you might want to listen to or watch. I will make one small note: is the Good News, Bad News is we can create that as an audio podcast, but it's really only about 6 minutes long. And maybe that's fine for most people, but it really does need to be seen. And that's where the value is. And so if we can probably think about maybe adding that to the audio feed, but we're at this point trying to just put it up on YouTube so that people can watch it. Yeah. So anyway, so here's the thing. This is not just the beginning. What I want to share, and just briefly before we jump into meeting all the hosts and getting to hear from them, which I'm both excited and anxious about. You'll find out why I said that later. Is we look forward to the future where we can do more podcasts, add more shows and podcasts to our network. And so one thing that we are kind of dreaming about, several things that we're dreaming about, is having a podcast that's on crypto, a podcast in Spanish, a podcast that's dedicated to debates, a podcast that emphasizes where freedom is very present and why people are flourishing because of it. That's the Land of the Free podcast. That's probably the most solid podcast that we have sort of in the works right now, coming in 2023. And other things like Libertarian Christian parenting, Libertarian Christian, how do you deal with things on more of a social matter rather than just politics? And then, of course, I'm leaving open many more with question marks. What is it that's going to be the future of the Christians for Liberty Network? Well, that's gonna depend on a lot of things, but we are dreaming up a lot of things that we want to do. As you all know, you're watching the Libertarian Christian Podcast, and it's been streaming. This is episode 300. I don't need to go into anything further on that. Norm, you are now the primary host of the Faith Seeking Freedom podcast. Now that is already now streaming or downloading. I just wrote in streaming because that's the coolest way to write things when you announce networks like this. What do people need to know about the Faith Seeking Freedom podcast if they either haven't heard of it or maybe they've listened to them, but we've kind of let it slide in late summer? We didn't kind of do anything with it.
Well, that was due to my own travel schedule primarily, but let's introduce it.
And we were recovering from Freedom Fest.
That too. Yeah. But let's introduce it in such a way that, let's say you've never heard of this before. Well, the genesis of this was very simply that we wrote a book. And if you're familiar with that, it's called Faith Seeking Freedom. The format of that was really short answers to tough questions about libertarian ideas from a Christian point of view. And so what we're trying to do with the Faith Seeking Freedom podcast is kind of follow in that tradition, but in audio format. So we hope to garner questions both that we'll write sometimes ourselves because we think that they're interesting to talk about, or that come from you, the listeners, that you submit either via our contact forms or contacting us via social media, and then we'll address those as well. And we're going to try to do that in kind of rather short outtakes, where, less than 10 minutes or so. And that's really the gist of it. And we're experimenting even more with kind of some different pieces of what that might look like, with the opportunities with video and doing it on YouTube. And we're still kind of experimenting and figuring it out. But overall, that's the thrust of it, is that we're putting them on. We're doing these little short bits where we answer questions and discuss things in kind of a quick format about all topics related to Christianity and liberty.
Excellent. So what part of the format of tonight is going to be asking every new host of the Christians for Liberty Network what they have enjoyed about the primary podcast, or the sole I can't say it's a primary now. I mean, I guess maybe it is because it's the namesake, but what have you liked the most about the Libertarian Christian Podcast?
Well, what do I like most about it?
What do you have to say? What's your favorite part?
Is this also
yes,
where
this is.
we
Yes,
this
is. This
oh,
is
okay.
This was the anxious part for me.
Oh, okay. All right. I was making sure I understood where we were going here, because I do have notes about this. They're all in here. Are you ready?
I don't know.
Okay. All right.
Oh, he has this big binder.
Yeah.
Oh man. Are you gonna hold it up like the Trump meme where it's like writing something?
All right, Doug.
Oh, dear.
This is what I have to say. All right, Doug, you are the least interesting part of the podcast.
Oh. Okay. Wow. I don't know how to respond to that. Exactly. I have the power to just, I don't even know how to respond to that.
See, yeah.
Yes, because I don't know how to respond to it. That's why. Okay. All right. So yes, there should be a crowd laugh. Thank you.
Yeah,
that's good.
You asked for it.
All right. I'm just gonna reply with this. Here you go, Norm. You can read that out loud and who it's from.
I can't see it. Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. He asked for it, Mom. I mean, what can I say?
Yeah. Right.
I'm not sure we introed that quite right, but that's all right.
No, that's all fine. It's all fine. And hey, so what we do now is I'm going to have on the hosts of the Reformed Libertarians podcast, and that is going to be Gregory Baus, who actually couldn't be with us, but we recorded something ahead of time. I'm going to play that here in just a sec, and then I'm going to have Kerry up. Actually, I'm going to bring Kerry up now, and because I can. Bye, Norm. Hey, Kerry.
Hi, Doug.
I'm Gregory Baus, and I'm happy to be part of the announcement for the release of the Libertarian Christian Institute's Christians for Liberty Network. Kerry Baldwin and I will be our hosts of the Reformed Libertarians podcast, and I'd like to tell you something about myself and how I came to be a libertarian, and something about my interest in podcasting. I became a libertarian around 2008. I had previously been a, you might say, constitutionalist. and I'd actually been a member of the Constitution Party, the U.S. Constitution Party. And it was in 2008 that actually a couple of years before that, I'd done an independent study when I was in grad school, independent study in economics, and became acquainted with the writings of Murray Rothbard. And then through the writings of Roderick Long, that I was convinced of libertarian anarchism. And from that point, I began to think about how I might integrate that perspective with my Reformed faith. I was born and raised in the Orthodox Presbyterian Church, a small conservative, confessionally Reformed denomination. And around 2010, 2011, I had gone overseas to teach English, and it was actually in Asia. I was in Cambodia and then China, and then in Budapest, Hungary. And during that time, I was brainstorming, more or less, for what would become the Reformed Libertarianism statement that you'll find at our website, reformedlibertarians.com. Kerry Baldwin and I met on a Reformed Libertarians Facebook group in 2016 and began to discuss our common interests in the Reformed faith and libertarianism, and started brainstorming about podcasts. And so that was some of the beginnings of it. And then we were approached by, Kerry had been writing for the Libertarian Christian Institute, and we were approached by them to do a podcast together. I had guested on Kerry's podcast, Dare to Think. So one of the things I'm looking forward to in our podcast, Reformed Libertarians Podcast, is, besides guests that we hope to have on, Kerry and I will be looking more in depth through the Reformed Libertarianism statement and explaining what we mean in each of the subsections. We'll also be going through a series, Lord willing, on some of the historical Reformed thinkers that contributed to a perspective on the right of political resistance, a viewpoint from a Reformed perspective.
All right. Hey, Kerry.
Hey, Doug. I think you exited out there for a second. Did you ask me how I'm doing?
I asked you how you're doing. I said, are you excited about being a host of a new podcast that we're releasing?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I'm really excited about Reformed Libertarians. There are many, many Reformed Libertarians, but I run into new ones all the time who don't realize that there are other Reformed Libertarians. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to have this podcast come up. And also, you probably know this, and anybody who's interacted with a Calvinist knows that we tend to be a stickler for theology and doctrine and things like that. So I'm excited about being able to get on a podcast and talk about some of those more intellectual things, sort of dig down into historic doctrines and see if it actually is compatible. I mean, obviously we wouldn't be doing it if we didn't think that Reformed theology was compatible with libertarianism, but we really want to dig down into it and talk about the history. And there are a lot of Reformed theologians through history who have articulated fairly well a resistance to, authoritarianism, political authoritarianism, and things like that. So we want to be able to flesh that stuff out. So I'm really excited about it.
Yeah. We have a guy named Steven here who says he's really looking forward to the Reformed Libertarians podcast. He's apparently actually knows Gregory, so that's really cool.
Yeah.
So the release schedule. Tell us what we have planned for now, and maybe we'll do more later. What's the plan?
Well, you guys can find Reformed Libertarians podcast on Apple and Spotify and Google Podcast and Amazon. I think it was Leah Peterson who was asking about Amazon. It's on Amazon.
Yep.
And you can listen to our first 3 episodes right now. Well, wait till after this.
Don't just go
after
there.
Our live stream. Don't just leave right now. But
you're gonna miss a fun part of the show for later.
I know. Don't do that yet. But yeah, you can get on there now and listen to our first 3 episodes right now. And then we will be publishing every other Thursday. So I believe that the 4th episode will be coming out on November 17th. So, and then every other Thursday we'll have a new episode.
Excellent. All right. So you get your chance now.
My favorite thing about the Libertarian Christian Podcast, I'm doing the show notes now for the Libertarian Christian Podcast. So my favorite thing about the podcast was that I got to pick and choose what I got to listen to. Now I got to listen to all of them.
Wow. I don't I actually understand that. I can align with that sentiment for sure. That's good. Is there anything else you need to say before we jump into the next host here?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, we hear you a lot on my podcast because you do fill in sometimes for some of those critical episodes that are important for someone like you to do the interview. So thank you for filling in for me. We're just going to look forward to hearing you and Gregory on the Reformed Libertarians podcast. I'm not even Reformed, and I've been excited about this podcast. So,
cool. Very good.
Must be providence that I'm excited about it.
I do want to say I saw Libertarian Dave in the comments asking about Mere Liberty. Mere Liberty is still going on. Dare to Think is still going on, and hopefully we can get a partnership or something going with LCI. But it's still on.
All right, Kerry. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, here. Let's see. What do we have next? Got the order that I put these in. There we go. The Godarchy podcast. Hey, Mike.
Oh, hello.
Hey, you're on.
I'm on.
How you doing, man?
I now I have to pay attention to you and not the hockey game. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing fine. When we got on before, you were like, I was like, who's playing sports? I'm like, oh, no, I already know the answer to that question. Who's playing sports in the background?
Duh.
Mike, welcome to the Christians for Liberty Network, man. This is really good it's really good and exciting to have you on. Join forces with us. You are one of our favorite voices out there in the liberty movement because you're just a sound thinker, and you also just have a fun sense of humor. You're really good at having those conversations with people that I'm like, man, that's just a great interview. It just goes to just a really good length. It gets to the right issues. It doesn't sort of like, at least all the interviews. I don't know if I've listened to every single episode of yours, but all the interviews I've listened to, you have gone into conversations with people that I doubt many podcast hosts can actually do. So anyway, just something to say thanks to you for joining us, because we really need your kind of talent.
Well, I really appreciate you saying that. And I'm excited to be joining partnershiping. See, this is the problem with letting old people be on the internet past their bedtime. They start to get incoherent. No, I'm really excited to be part of this. The Libertarian Christian Institute, even going back before it was called LCI, has been very important to me. I remember going back and discovering this website, and that there was this thing, and I was so excited that there was this opportunity to kind of combine these things that are important in my life, liberty and my faith in Christ. So LCI has been very important to me, and I've always admired the work that you guys are doing and the reach that you have, and just kind of the way it kind of covers such a broad range. So it's really exciting to me to be part of this as well. So I really appreciate the opportunity. I think it's going to be mutually beneficial, and really just excited about it. It's cool.
Yeah, well, great. So one of the first questions when we announced that Godarchy was going to be part of the Christians for Liberty Network was, is the frequency going to be every week, or is it going to be the same as what you're doing? What's your plan for now?
Yeah, for now, we're going to stick to the every other week schedule. I've got a lot of forks in the fire. I don't think forks is the right word.
Pitchforks?
But again, but for me to be able to crank out a weekly podcast at this point is probably would be overwhelming. So we're going to stick with the every other week format.
Yeah.
And for folks who might not be familiar with Godarchy, the tagline is shoving a crowbar between state and church. So very much an anti-state orientation. I am a voluntarist / anarchist, whichever term you want to use. And I like to explore those themes, but it's not just anarchy. I like to interview a wide range of people on a wide range of subjects. I think probably the most, the biggest interview I had was Ron Paul. And as you kind of mentioned, I actually managed to get him to talk a little bit about his faith, which is something that as I understand it, he doesn't do real often. So that was kind of cool. And you probably get the sense my interview style is very loosey-goosey. I like to have conversations just like you were talking about earlier. So, I really try to keep it loose and keep it fun. And, I'll interview people. I've interviewed Spike Cohen. I've interviewed Jeff Deist, a lot of different people that are probably known, but I also like to interview people who maybe you've never heard of, but who have interesting experiences or interesting perspectives that, can bring some interesting thoughts to the table.
Yeah.
One that really comes to mind, I interviewed a guy during the first iteration of Godarchy who used to be a border patrol officer and then quit out of kind of moral conscience. So wide range of things. And then about a third of my episodes, I just get on and pontificate off the top of my head. So that can be fun too. So, but yeah, that was a long answer to a very short question, but I wanted to kind of give people a flavor of what Godarchy is all about.
Yeah. So everybody's been telling me what they like about the Libertarian Christian Podcast. Do you have anything to say there?
The what?
The Libertarian Christian Podcast?
I've never heard of it. What is that?
I'll have to send you the links.
Yeah, that's I don't listen to things like that. That sounds weird.
Oh. Okay. Oh my word, you guys. I'm just gonna move on to the next person. Hey, thanks for joining me, Mike. You guys can check out Mike at godarchy.org. All right, I'm gonna bring up my buddy Jacob. Jacob, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Doug. How you doing? I can't hear you. We're chopping. I don't know if my connection's bad or your connection's bad.
That's interesting. Can just let me
It's
hear.
back
Can
now.
other people hear me in the chat? Okay, cool.
It's
All
back
right,
now.
I'm doing well. I said it's going to be a long night if we keep it up the way we're doing it. So anyway, I just wanted to introduce you. You have been the host of your own podcast, and you can sort of describe what's been going on there and what we're doing here. But you, as the host of the Biblical Anarchy podcast, which is, I believe, we're doing every I think that's what right. we'd set out.
Yep.
So we're going to do every week. And why don't you tell everybody what the Biblical Anarchy podcast is going to be about?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's right there in the name, right? We're going to be making the biblical case for anarchy, for human voluntarism in society. Kind of living out that mantra, "No king but Christ." And so, episodes are going to vary from going into different passages in the Bible and sort of, doing a sort of careful exegesis and, looking at how different principles in the Bible are either compatible with or directly relating to libertarian anarchy, and having guests on from time to time to dive into different topics that relate to, Christian libertarianism and, just kind of trying to push the Overton window to make the idea of anarchy not this scary thing that and obviously probably every episode I'll have to set aside 5 minutes or so to do Romans 13 because that's just that's what people say when they hear the word anarchy. So it's just like at the end of every segment it'll be like, and by the way, here's the links for Romans 13 because I know that's what you're asking about.
Just have a ticker across the bottom.
Pretty much, yeah.
The stream. So tell us a little bit about you. I don't know if you've been on my podcast, I think twice now, where we've had conversations where I've aired our conversations at least twice. Just briefly tell people who you are and yeah.
Jacob Winograd, although I often go by Jacob Daniel as well, and or just a bunch of different names. Sometimes I'm called Daniel, and if anyone follows me on Twitter,
made that mistake.
Yeah, if anyone follows me on Twitter, they know that I don't have a real name. I go by like 5 different names. But I've been doing my own podcast, the Daniel 3 podcast, for like a year and a half, or maybe coming up on 2 years now.
Yeah, okay.
But I started that late 2020 is when I started. And I started after I had, become a libertarian, and I had personally got involved in the Libertarian Party and in the Mises Caucus and done a lot of activism in there. But then I started to want to, I saw a lot of churches and Christians kind of living in fear and, just kind of, not doing what we're supposed to do as Christians during the lockdowns and everything. And I don't know, I just felt stirred to, be a voice in the community, and to try to reach my fellow brothers and sisters in Christ, and to, try to make the case for living out our principles in action and not just in theory. Because, sometimes, it's easy, I think, sometimes for Christians to, be bold when everything's going our way and we are in charge of the culture and in charge of the institutions. But when we're not, and then suddenly the pressure is on, you get varying results. You get some people who retreat away and hide, or some people that want to get vengeful, and I don't think either are what we're supposed to do. So I'm a father, 4 children, including a 5-month-old who I think is luckily still asleep. And so it's a little crazy sometimes, but
you'll soon learn it's the older ones that stay awake longer.
Yeah, well, that's okay because
Eventually.
they're self-sufficient. It's the babies and the diapers and all that. But yeah, no, I'm really excited to be part of the new network, and I've always been a fan of LCI, and I've enjoyed our conversations, and I'm just excited to see what kind of work and collaboration and outreach we can do.
So on the Libertarian Christian Podcast, I don't know if you've been listening as long as Mike has, which is 0 episodes, or if you've been listening to as long as Kerry has, which is every episode. But what's your favorite part of the podcast?
My favorite part of the podcast just has to be your technical brilliance. Everything you do, everything you touch just comes together magically, and without a hitch, without any hiccups. And you're the first person that everyone goes to when it comes to needing, technical support and stuff when it comes to the podcasting sphere.
Wait, I didn't hear you. What was that? I think you were breaking up a little bit. Oh, I appreciate that. That's why we got started late, and I don't know what happened. This is why you don't update your operating system 4 hours before you do a live stream for the first time in 100 episodes. Well, I was just about to call you Daniel. Jacob Daniel Winograd, thank you for being part of the Christians for Liberty Network. I am now going to move on to the next host so we can meet them, and you'll be back on here in a minute to chat. We're all going to do kind of a game at the end, so if you guys want to stay till the end to watch that, it'll be fun to get to know the host a lot better. Eric's going to host for that. So I'm also going to take this moment just a second to say, if you're watching over YouTube, which I know the majority of the people who are watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe, turn on the notifications. Go do it right now. Okay, go do it. All right, good. I don't know if you've done it or not, but I'm assuming you have, because, that's just what I told you to do. And, you're all libertarians. You just do what you're told. All right, here. To see your face, am I?
No, unfortunately, you can't see my face because you were not able to provide me the technical brilliance that you are so lauded for. So,
Jacob, you spoke too soon, man. I don't know what's going on.
Too bad. I have noticed, though, that in the chat, it's been frankly a love fest for Kerry and Mike and Jacob. And whenever my name comes up, crickets. Just
Yeah.
crickets.
Maybe it's because I'm writing your jokes. That could explain it.
Like in the social realm of people who are liked, libertarians are frankly, unfortunately, low on the list, and I'm the least likely to be liked by all the libertarians. So it makes me feel fantastic.
Hey,
wonderful.
you know what? Here's something really important. Libertarian Dave just wrote in the comments, "Oh, that's the intro guy."
It is. That is the intro guy. It is.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I kid. I make fun. I only try to dig on myself primarily because whenever we were doing good news, bad news with other people, they would say, "Hey, the guy that has all the quips, would you shut him up?" That was my favorite. Those were my favorite comments. So.
Yeah. Hey, you know, when we first started the podcast, you were one of the first people to be involved that was just sort of volunteering your time. You have the radio voice. You've done those kinds of things. And do you remember you telling the guy who was recording you doing the intro was questioning your use of the word status quo?
Yeah.
You
So
tell
I
everybody
actually
what that-
decided, I was like, listen, this whole podcast thing is going to be huge. I better go to a professional studio and make sure this gets done to a high level of professionalism. So I went to a studio, paid for the time. No, it was actually free. But I went into the studio, had an engineer there. I said, listen, I've only got a few lines, but I want you to record it and make sure you send it off to Doug here. And when I did the whole read through, he said, that sounds great, but you keep mispronouncing status. It's status quo. No. I said, well, you don't understand. We're libertarians over here, and we're usually against the state. So it's not like status quo or anything like that. It's statist. State.
And then I got to hear the original audio, and I heard him groan.
He goes, oh,
you guys.
Hey, by the way, thanks, Darren. Thanks, Mike. And thanks, Rob. I appreciate all that.
You know we love you, so you know it's.
I have a very fragile ego, Doug. You have to understand. So.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if you do. I don't know if anybody who knows you would actually think you had a fragile ego. Now, maybe you and I need to have a chat tomorrow, but yeah, that's not the impression yet. In all of your listenings to the Libertarian Christian Podcast, what is your favorite part?
Of the whole podcast, frankly, Doug, really, it is you. We all love you, Doug. But frankly, I do have to say, you are enragingly serious. Doug, you are so serious. I'd have to say heart attacks tend to make wittier conversationalists than you. You make Vincent Price look like Blippy the man-child.
I don't even
honestly,
know
I would rather take life advice from a spiraling depressive than you. Yeah. But seriously, you've got to be serious as your role as CEO of this whole thing, which is interesting because nobody really asked you to be CEO. You just kind of took over like an overly presumptuous child at another kid's birthday party, saying mine. So. Honestly, though, not everything about you, Doug, is serious, really. I mean, your seriousness is only surpassed by the height of your forehead. So.
Oh, man.
Now,
all right,
listen,
you are
jokes
disinvited.
don't go over well with Doug if people want to know, but because you take things way too literally. You've been known to bring a shotgun.
All right. I think all the dad jokes here before they even get started. Matthew, what can people know about Good News, Bad News? Because they need to tune in to YouTube to see it, to see you. And what should they know? I don't know if we lost him. We might have lost Matthew. Well, I can tell you now that you're going to get the...
No, you didn't lose me. I'm still here. I'm still here.
You're still there. You're still thinking?
No, I'm
you
still here.
Being too serious?
Yeah, no, I took a long time to stroke out. Just like our new senator.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. No, Doug, honestly, though, I have to say, you really are a great husband and father, which is in no small part due to your wife being a therapist, which helps hide your raging alcoholism. So.
Oh my gosh. Wait, where's the click to remove button? Yeah, I don't even know where to go with that. All right, tell us about good news, bad news.
Hey, listen, we have so many long format podcasts. We want to give you something that's a little bit more consumable, something that you can listen to in 5 to 10 minutes. We're trying to do this every week. I would love to do it almost every day. I would love this if it was something that I was getting paid for.
Matt, your audio is dropping or something.
And I thought at some point we're going to have a resolution of my audio.
Okay, we'll see.
Okay. Well, anyhow, where did I lose you? Consumable content? Yes. The bad news, I did consume everybody. I ate them all, and I am 6'4", about 290 pounds. So I can do that. It's very easy. So.
Oh, you're getting some love in
format.
You're getting some love in the chat, Matt.
Oh, there he is. Oh, yeah, great. This is just
this is good.
Hey, yeah. So
all right.
I'm glad that people are at least getting some of the jokes here.
Yes, well, that's good. Well, it's probably because you're telling them, since I'm so serious.
Well, I mean, I used to live my life very seriously, and then I realized I would look more like you, and realized no, I wouldn't get any girls that way. So I better start changing.
Wow.
God bless you, sir.
I think we're going to move on. Thank you, Matt. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Oh, man. I've got a lot of great friends that I work for. So, folks, christiansforliberty.net, that is where you can find all the information about the Christians for Liberty Network. You can also go to libertarianchristians.com, and you will see that on the main page, and you will now see a shows drop down in our menu. And so that is where you can get all the info for Christians for Liberty. We have a special guest, which I have a typo here. This is not led by Eric Lindborg. He is leading our game. I have a special guest who's going to come on, and I got to meet this gentleman recently. If you've been a recent listener to the podcast, you will have heard his voice. You might have seen him on TV, and I am pleased to welcome Doc Dixon.
Hey,
Doc. How you doing, man?
I'm really happy to be here. Go ahead, ask me. What's my favorite? Go ahead.
I need
Wait,
to
hold on. I got to get ready. Hold on. I'm a magician. So you didn't say that. Like people don't know.
All right.
Details count. Come on.
All right. Let's do a retake from the top. I am pleased to announce the
when
best.
You said my name went who? Go ahead.
I am pleased to announce the most famous, best musician who's ever. See, I'm trying to. Yeah. Let me try that again. I am pleased to announce the best magician who has ever been on our 300th episode.
Okay, let me prepare.
Magic for Dummies. Folks, he's holding up a Magic for Dummies book. Is that for me? Because I'm no.
Go ahead. Ask me the question. Go ahead.
What's been your favorite part of the Libertarian Christian Podcast?
My favorite part was when the episode I did with you, and I think you heard me on Godarchy before that. Is that how we connected?
Yes. I didn't know you were Christian until you were on Mike's show.
That's your. Are you really a Christian unless you've been on Mike's show? I mean,
fair point.
So
I think that's like the third right? Like baptism.
Oh,
and then
right.
You go on Mike's right. Yeah, no, I
please
realize how
a little
poor
harder.
Connection
Dixon matters.
I realize the poor connection can really make that terrible.
Okay. Anyway, go ahead. Ask.
Hey, just so Mike.
I'm Mike. There's Mike.
just so that you're in good company, you are the third right of becoming a Christian if we're not on your show, right?
Yeah, I caught all that. That's all factual.
Okay.
Thank you,
I
brother.
was just checking in with you.
Okay, go ahead. Ask me the question. Go ahead.
What's been your favorite part of the Libertarian Christian Podcast?
Oh, it's funny you should ask. I remember when I was on the show and we're talking about what I do for a living, being a comedy magician, and we're talking about me being on Penn and Teller and all that. I'm saying a lot of this because the intro you gave me was so robust. On there, and when you asked me, so how many of the tricks involve Satan? I remember that. I mean, I'm thinking I'm on the Christian Libertarian. How many other guests have you asked? So how much of your work involves Beelzebub? You know, that was a bit of a shocker for me. I was like, what the Gehenna's going on here?
What the Gehenna? I've never heard that one.
Little Greek there to street cred for the first part.
Yeah. So you enjoyed.
I wasn't going to say any of this. Just so much anger was building up.
Okay, I hear you. I got you.
Go ahead.
All right. Well, do you have? I think you came on not just to roast me, but I think you have something to show us, right?
No, I'm not done roasting you.
Oh gosh. Well, maybe you are.
Oh, wait.
I have a button here.
Wait, hold on. I'm looking at the comments. Libertarian Dave referring to the devil thing. Libertarian Dave says, well, I mean the mustache.
Here we go. Yes, here we go. Libertarian Dave, thank you so much for joining
Dave,
our
I don't
conversation.
know you. Do you have a mustache? Please respond in the comments.
We'll see here.
Does he walk around exposing his philtrum to people?
Vocab word for you today, guys.
No, well, you do. Yeah, okay, he does then. Philtrum's that notch, just to clear that up.
Oh, wow, Darren.
Let's move on. So that was the part I liked. I really didn't expect to get that, this being the 21st century and everything. But
gotcha.
So
in my defense, I'll tell people to go listen to that episode.
Please, it was fun. It was fun.
Because it was good to kind of get that answer very, very dramatically and very, very emphatically. And now I'm getting the aftermath.
Well, justice doesn't sleep. Whatever. One of the things in all seriousness, I really do love about the podcast and the whole Christian Libertarian Institute is that, even in the libertarian world, there can be a lot of headbutting, and not getting over differences between each other. But what I enjoy with the little ecosphere that you guys have created is that people of different, but yet within that, still get along like me. I'm in the Christian sense, you'd label me as Reformed. Libertarian, you would be labeled as anarchist. But I can get along with others who, we label as wrong.
Oh, I see.
By the way, with that joke, we've gone from professional entertainer to funny pastor level.
Yeah.
It's here, somewhere in the dad joke.
My favorite one was when but Pete Enns, when I was in seminary, he said, if God lets us into heaven because of our correct theology, I'm going to be very lonely.
Wow.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. So congratulations on all these new podcasts. I'm familiar with several of them. Just talking with my Daniel 3, Doc Dixon for Baptist preaching. Oh no, Presbyterian. Stop it. Anyway, congratulations on the network thing. I think that's awesome. And the one thing you haven't explained is what it really is for you and Norman. This is a classical example of the Tom Sawyer painting the fence thing. I mean, these new people are going to be. You don't get that reference. I see the.
I'm trying to figure out. I can't think fast enough on that. Go ahead.
It's a little disarming when the showbiz guy, American. Anyone. Okay. Anyway, we'll move on if you don't.
All right. Whatever. Yeah. So no.
It'll be in the show notes.
Yes. That's the like we'll fix it in post for all podcasters.
We'll fix it.
It'll be we'll put it in the show notes page.
Post. Yeah. Wait, I'm like reading. Okay.
Kerry, put it in the show notes page, please.
Joke. I did. Yeah. Yelled at you. I wanted to do that. Yeah. What do you like most? That question reminded me back when I was single of like every bad date. So enough of me talking about me. You talk about me, but I'm over that. Okay. All right. Okay. What you wanted me to, okay. It's the time to do a trick. We got just a few minutes left. We'll do that.
Yeah. No, we're good. We can go as long as you can, keep doing what you're doing.
I feel about it. To clarify, I really like Doug, but me liking Doug isn't funny. So I know why.
Fair enough.
Here.
That's wow. That's good.
So less libertarian talk and more theological talk. I'm Reformed, predestination, all that. And I know there's, I could get into scriptural proofs for that, but I thought, hey, why not? I'm a magician, full Penn and Teller. I'll prove it with a card trick. Huh?
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Can we get some of our panel on here on the screen so I can see these?
Oh
folks?
yeah. Yeah. Let me do that here. Let me just get everybody on here. There we go. Aha. All right. Okay. Hold on. Let me get more.
I just have to say that Doc cannot be a Baptist preacher because he's got a deck of cards.
This is true.
I'm also going to bring up Eric because we're going to Eric's going to lead us in a game of Get to Know You something. I forget what it's called. He drawn a blank, and so he could be part of this. All right, Doc.
What, Mike? I won't do the joke, but there's the punchline is because someone might think they're dancing. Okay.
Yeah, that's
yes.
a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Good one.
The classics.
Yeah.
Okay. A deck of cards here. I'm going to tell you right off the bat. It's not a normal deck, but I'll show you how. So that makes it okay.
Cool.
Yes. Norman, give me a color, red or black.
Let's go with black. Sure.
Black. Okay. Kerry, clubs or spades?
Spades.
Spades. Okay. And Jacob, name one of the spades. Not the ace though, because I've been showing it to you, and that comes off as cheese.
Four.
Four of spades. Okay.
Four of spades. Okay.
Four of spades. Okay. We haven't prearranged anything, and if we did, you'd lie. Sometimes magic's easy. True. Sorry, I froze up there to make you think Doug screwed up tech again.
I was wondering if that was where you were going with that.
Keep in mind, what we have here is like the Brady Bunch, a technology that was mastered in the 70s. Yet, Doug had problems. Okay. Now, let me show you why the deck is jinky. See, there's a little. I got them upside down. There's a dude on the back of the deck. Hold on. It's been a while since I've been regularly doing video stuff. Okay. So he's going to do a trick. He's going to watch. See, this dude is not the same in every one. See how his arm's a little different in this one?
Mm-hmm.
Details. Okay, here we go.
Yep.
He's going to find, hopefully, well, I'll try to do it with the card trick. Right up there. Okay, he reaches up. He takes off his hat. By the way, this is like a thing we did when we were kids. You'd have a tablet and you draw something on each page. And you flick it. Now, for those of you youngsters out there, a tablet was once a stack of paper fastened on one end. Here we go. He reaches up. He takes off his hat. He pulls something out of the hat. No, a card. Your card, the four of spades.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow. That is nice.
Hey, thanks for having me here. Love you guys. Love all that you do. Really looking forward to the new stuff. I speak for the audience because I'm a special guest. I'm not part of the team. I'm the loud uncle who's everyone's worried he's going to do something really inappropriate.
Oh, no, I wasn't worried. I was expecting it.
That's the only reason I'm here.
Yeah,
That's when you just say,
it's
hand
just
them the
for
mashed potatoes and let them roll.
Hey, can I just say that, like, there was a time during COVID, I watched a lot of Penn and Teller Foolish videos. I watched you, Doc, multiple times before I ever knew that you were around us at all as a libertarian sort of thing. I couldn't believe it when I found out. I was like, what the heck?
Well, there was an ANCAP joke in there.
I must have missed that.
There was. I saw it.
I'm gonna have to go
Thank
back and
you,
watch.
Kerry.
Oh wait, on Penn and
Thank
Teller.
you.
Yeah, I saw it.
Doug, thank you.
Yeah, I do remember it.
Oh,
He got a fist bump from Penn and Teller for it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was
Yeah.
very noticeable. So
I must have
Anyway.
totally missed that. That's incredible.
He made Teller laugh.
Hard to do.
Real quick, I will tell you that was. I mean, I'm sitting at the table with these very much magic icons. The part that got a little unnerving was, after having been fans of them for decades, to be sitting 2 feet from Teller and he laughed very loudly.
Like, this is surreal.
Yeah, they were very, very gracious guys. It was a fun show
For sure.
well, Doc, thanks for joining us. We
thanks for
enjoyed having
me,
you
guys.
be our special guest, and we're gonna let Eric have the floor here, because what we want people to do who are still watching and who are listening later on is we want them to be able to get to know us a little bit better, help us, and Eric loves getting to know all of us. Eric, I'm gonna talk about you for a second here. You are one of our biggest fans. You love seeing us succeed. You love seeing us all personally succeed, and just to get to know us. When we met at Freedom Fest, you were just always into getting to know us more and building the team, whether it was around the table with food, or whether it was just like afterward, just hanging out in the lounge. You were always having ways to be like, hey, let's get to know each other more, because that you knew that was so important for us. And over time, you've been helping us to cohere even more. And so what I think part of the spirit of what you want to do here is to let our audience get to know us a little bit better. So you want to share your screen, or do you want me to throw this up? Oh wait, I already have it. You already have it up. I just realized. Okay.
Eric's our orthodox man in the chair. He's always there supporting everybody. He's great.
Thanks. If I could just say one thing, I'm so encouraged by like this next step, this amazing new era that we're starting together. I'm so in love with the group here that is dedicated and sold out for liberty, and I'm largely behind the scenes trying to help us perform at a higher level of delivery on content, and the need is so great. This was like really driven home when we were at Freedom Fest. And think about the type of person that goes to Freedom Fest. They'll take off work, the money, the ticket, the air, the hotel, like the whole thing, right? They're obviously very interested and invested in liberty, right? And we had, so many people come by our table. They're like, I'm a Christian. I never heard you guys. I love liberty. Like the people that we still have yet to reach is so huge, and we have to capitalize on that. And I'm so glad to see the like minds coming together to produce this content so that we can get that message of liberty. Because, if you're a Christian, you're probably your mind's probably still a slave to statist thinking. And if you're a statist and you're not a Christian, your mind's a slave to sin and darkness, right? And so we have to bring those messages together. And I'm so excited about our future doing that together. And I'm so excited to be a part of this organization. So hopefully this little activity helps us to kind of have some fun and talk a little bit more about just have some great conversation. So I guess I'll let the man with no cameras kick us off, because I know he's the funniest. So
I didn't mean to be the man with no camera. Although I was about to say, in your preaching there, I was about ready to go. Come on, man.
Can I get a witness? All right. So we've got, wait, I'm losing everybody. Oh, okay. So
do we do this one by one?
Sure. So besides the launch of this network, right? So the way this works is there's two prompts on the screen. You tell us what you're most looking forward to right now, or tell us what age you'd want to be if you could choose and why.
I'll answer both real quickly. I'm looking forward to the throngs of fans that I'll receive. And also whenever I die, hearing, well done, good and faithful servant. And by the way, you were right all along.
You better get that MyPillow promo code in the chamber. Get ready to launch that thing.
Yeah. And tell us what age you would want to be. Honestly, I've always thought about that, but really, when I was a teenager, I always wanted to be retired. So I was like, man, I don't know if I could do this whole life thing.
Yeah.
But I'm 40 now. I'm about halfway through. I'm like, okay, let me do a few things and then I'll get to retirement age.
That's good. Awesome. Thanks, Matt. I guess serve me up my next victim. If that's something you can do for me
in the power.
Oh gosh. Well,
hey Jacob.
Hey.
We've got tell us about your favorite music or song, and or tell us your favorite sports team and why. Sorry, Mike, you didn't get this one.
Favorite music or song? Man, that's tough. Because I'm into basically every genre of music, and I don't know. I don't really play favorites. I will say, I guess like my favorite worship song has to be "Be Thou My Vision." I've loved that since I was a kid. It's just something I sing to myself, and I've sang it to each one of our kids, like when they're infants, and you're like walking them around trying to rock them to sleep, and that's just a song that's always spoken to my heart and kind of been, I sing it as a prayer, so to speak. Tell us your favorite sports team and why. It'd be the Baltimore Ravens because my father told me I didn't have a choice. He threatened to kick me out of the house when I said I liked the Pittsburgh Steelers, and so I became a Baltimore Ravens fan instead. And but I've always liked the Ravens. They're kind of like one of those teams that are good but not too good. So it's kind of like you have something to aspire to. It's like you can win at any point, but it's always a struggle. And honestly, I'm not into sports as much as I used to be, but I remember when I was younger and watching, and the Ravens were always this team that like they would win games, but they didn't win pretty. They eked them out, and I always thought there was a corollary there between like the way they won and kind of like our walk with Christ, and like, we wanted to be like this picture perfect sort of, journey, but often we are getting through, purely on the grace of God and not our own effort. And it's not always pretty, but if we, persevere to the end, that's the pea and tulip, to make a Reformed reference here. But, it's not always pretty, but if we do that and we trust in God, then we will, obtain what he's promised us. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Jacob. That was great. Dr. Norman Horn.
Mr. Eric.
All right. If you would please tell us what your family most enjoyed doing together when you were a child, and or tell us about your favorite game as a child.
Interesting questions. And it's unfortunate that I believe my mother has departed the podcast at this point, so she might be interested in it. Wow, probably some of the best things we did as kids together was really the I'm going to go two directions with this. Number one would be that we loved going to this little place where we had a cabin in called Lakey, Texas, where we had a cabin on the river, and we would inner tube on the river and swim all day, and it was fantastic. Great memories there as a family, broader on the Horn side of the family. And probably another great thing that really helped us gel, especially me and my brother, was playing games together. In fact, and we were actually, quite involved in board and card games. Doc will be proud of the fact that perhaps we attempted doing card tricks as younger kids, but never really could manage to develop the skill of it. But man, I'd say, you know, among our favorite games as kids, I mean, we played a lot of chess. We played a lot of card games, a lot of bridge. Strangely enough, I probably started playing bridge when I was, oh gosh, I must have been about 9 years old. I'm not sure that is legal in the state of Texas anymore. It's a very difficult game to play, of course, but it's important to start young if you really want to get into it. It was funny, you know, I actually tried to play with some clubs in where I was an undergrad. And when you walk into the bridge club of, like, you know, Rolla, Missouri, and everybody there is like a centenarian, it's pretty impressive. But it was still fun. That was fun.
Nice.
But yeah, that's probably, we'll just stick with that, you know. So we'll call it like, you know, chess and bridge were some the things that we loved, and then there were other things too, of course, but we'll stick with that.
Did you ever play Hero Quest?
You know, it's funny you asked that. I have in the deep past. You may or may not be aware that it has just recently been reprinted.
Yeah, I saw that. That was a gateway to D&D for a lot of people.
Oh, so yeah, definitely.
That was really cool.
Definitely. Yeah, for a while. Yeah, I actually would love to get a copy of the new reprint edition, but they were completely out when I was at Gen Con.
Oh,
we can talk about that another time.
Sweet. All right. Thanks, Norm. Hey, Mike.
Hey.
Tell me about the best present you've ever received, and/or what is your favorite holiday and why?
Those are hard ones. I should have had the sports and music one. I'm like a musician that loves sports.
Well, that's what's cool about this game is you can always, when it's like in a group setting, if you want to answer those, you can answer those.
Well, I don't know. That seems like it's cheating the game, though, right?
It's all good. I make the rules.
We're all anarchists here. Well, I'll answer these, and then I'll answer these real quick. I'm trying to think of the best present I've ever received. I don't know. That's really hard. I one that pops into my head when I was young. I was really into military history.
Yeah.
And my stepdad, I was probably about 10 or 11 years old. My stepdad got me a Korean War era fighter pilot's helmet that he had painted with my name on it and stuff. So that was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. My favorite holiday is Christmas, hands down. And gosh, for a lot of reasons. Of course, the spiritual aspect of it is significant to me. The whole idea of God entering into this cold, dark world really resonates with me. And then it was my mom's favorite holiday. It was just a time that the strife that we sometimes had in our family seemed to kind of melt away. So that was pretty cool. So I love Christmas, still do.
Are you strict about when you can decorate?
Yes, absolutely. You know, I firmly believe that elves die for every Christmas song that is played before Thanksgiving. I also like Thanksgiving, so I hate the fact that people just skip right over Thanksgiving. Like, do Thanksgiving, and then we get into Advent, and that's when you start doing the Christmas stuff.
Right. So, I'm with you on that one, brother.
Okay, so I have to do my favorite sports team. First off, for the Steelers fans out there, yuck. Sorry, Doc. But my favorite team, it goes to hockey. And because I'm a hockey player, I've always loved hockey, which is weird because I've spent most of my life in Florida. But I'm a huge Tampa Bay Lightning fan.
Nice.
And have been very excited over the last, probably 8 or 10 years that the Lightning have been really good and in the running for playoffs and Stanley Cups and things like that. But it's just also a really cool team. And so, yeah.
I'm actually from Chicago, and my dad would sometimes get tickets to see the Blackhawks, and they'd be like on the glass. And I just remember he'd take me when I was pretty young, and I just had this like awesome I was with other men. I knew I was still a boy, but I was like with other men, and like they were banging on the glass, and like the penalty box was right there. And I was like, "This is cool, being grown up like this."
You know, Chicago had one of the great goalies, Tony Esposito.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's awesome. Hey, thanks, Mike.
Thanks for having me.
That was great. Kerry, hey.
Hi, Eric.
Hey, you can say next if you don't like these, or you can tell us about your best sporting experience and or tell us the worst injury you've ever suffered.
Wow. One and the same.
Oh, dear.
Okay. So best sporting experience I have. I don't play sports anymore, but when I was in high school, I played volleyball because I'm tall. And actually, the best memory that I have of playing volleyball was I played for the Junior Olympics League, and we went on. We had a game at one point where we lost really badly to a team we shouldn't have lost to, and so the next day we go to practice, and we're up there doing hitting drills at the net, and we're hitting them out of the court, and we're hitting them in the net, and just like all over the place. And so our coach, who was getting really ticked off at us, she says, all right. She grabs a chair, sticks it in the middle of the court. She says, hit me. So I was the next one up, and I was like, all right. So I got up there, and I hit the ball right into her chest and knocked her over flat on her butt. That was the best sporting experience I've ever had.
That's great.
Let's see. Worst injury I've ever suffered. You know, I didn't really suffer a whole lot of injuries. The worst that I've suffered is, and it was playing volleyball. It was a chipped bone in my pinky finger right at my joint. And so now my finger is permanently crooked. You probably can't see it. But that's the worst injury I've suffered.
Do you still have like pain from it, or just
Nah.
your tea drinking is cramped? Or?
No, I was reaching up to do a set, and I was still pretty new at it, and the ball came straight down on my finger and just chipped. It chipped the bone, like you could see it you could see the chip in the X-ray, and they're like, "Yeah, that's not going to grow back. It's just going to sit there." Like, okay.
Oh man, wow, that stinks. I remember one time I was just a young kid, but I was practicing so hard for a piano recital, and like I was playing basketball with a friend, and like I was catching a pass, and I just did it poorly, and it jammed my finger, and it was like it just hurt so much I couldn't use it properly, and like I just struggled through my piano recital so much, and it just tore me up because like I really practiced, I promise I did.
Oh man!
Then I just couldn't perform because I had a sports injury.
That's
Kerry,
likely story.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Kid needs to practice more. Thank you so much, Kerry.
Thank you.
I think that just leaves me, man.
All right, Doug. Tell us your favorite food. Tell us why it's your favorite.
Yeah.
And what do you like most about your family?
I'm going to start with the bottom one. What do I like most about my family is I get to have a lot of fun with them, and they give me a lot of joy. They are funny. They appropriately roll their eyes at my dad jokes, but they also appreciate them when they're really good. So I always like that. They think I'm funny. So, you know, what I like most about my family is that they like me. So why is my favorite food my favorite food? So my favorite food, I'm trying to think. I don't know. I like food that has like a lot of spices. So like if I were to pick a cuisine, I'd probably pick like Indian food, or what was the kind of Chinese food that you chose for us at Freedom Fest? It was Szechuan.
Yeah, Sichuan food, man.
That was honestly probably the best Chinese I've ever had.
It was so good.
And you specifically chose it because it would, well, you went through the effort to find the best place in Vegas to eat that kind of food. I like food like that. That's really, really spicy. It doesn't, I mean, I'll still eat a lot of it, but it means that I don't need to eat a lot in order to like feel like, oh, that's just really good. That's my answer. Yeah.
For sure. If you can get that Sichuan food with that mala flavor that has like the Sichuan peppercorn, so good. I'm glad we had that. Thanks, Doug. Those were great answers.
Yeah, so we actually skipped over a part of this episode that we were going to do before this game. So Eric, I want to thank you for doing this and leading this. It's really important for us to do that. And I'm going to switch us now to Kerry, who has been hosting a trivia contest on our website or on our social media platform, and she's going to kind of lead us through. What I want to do though is I want to bring up everybody else, because I'm going to give them an opportunity to see if they know the answers. I don't even know if I know all the answers.
Oh, wow.
Doc, I'm going to bring you up here too. You can,
Oh, wow.
you know, Mike, I don't know if you can even play because you don't even listen to my podcast.
And everybody in the chat can participate too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So
I've never met him before, but I really want to hang out with Doc now. So
Yeah.
Back at
All
you,
right.
my friend.
Look at me, center stage. Okay.
I'm gonna make sure. All right, I just gotta make sure everybody's able to be there. Okay, there we go.
So these questions were all posted. There's 9 questions, and they were all posted on the events page, the event page for
Kerry,
the 300 episode.
If we answer incorrectly, will you hurt us like you did the volleyball woman?
No, because you're not asking for it.
Yet.
Yeah.
sounds like a Larry David episode.
Yeah, it does.
To be fair though, Matthew routinely asks for it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's right. He does.
That's true.
Okay, so question number 1. How many articles and podcast episodes on Romans 13 does LCI have?
Matthew Bellis. That's how I'm ringing in, just so you know.
All of them.
All right, answer.
Entitled and non-entitled, 900.
Okay, we have 900. Who else wants to guess?
Wait. So do we win if we're the closest, or we have to get the exact right amount?
Is this like Price is Right?
Yeah.
Without going over?
Yeah, closest without going over.
The closest without going over. Oh man.
Matthew's too far over.
75.
70?
75.
Who else?
I like these answers in the chat.
Yeah.
1 2 few is really good.
Carly
enough.
says
Yes.
not enough.
Yeah.
Not
Spike.
enough.
Oh, come on. You guys want the answer? Are you really
57.
gonna hold
1.
57. Okay, that was close.
42. Dave, thank you very much.
Libertarian
There it
Dave.
42, right?
It's very
not actually
close.
it's very close to 42.
It's 43.
Oh,
Wow, very good job.
down.
So Douglas
All right.
Adams would say 1 too many.
No, wait. Does that include?
Yeah.
Did you get my episode
Right.
up there yet? So does it include that, or
It
is it going to be
does.
44? Okay.
No, it includes that. Yeah.
So it was 42. So Dave was
So
right 2
It
days
is.
ago.
It is the answer to.
Well, I mean, that means that means it was 41 only like a week ago. Because that means we had 2 up this week.
It's almost like we're responding to the demand for people for Romans 13 materials.
Market demand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't
It was
believe you have a
Maricopa
Google
count.
filter thing for Romans 13. I mean, that's just like sadistic.
Statistic.
It tells you how many
every time
times
it's
we get
brought
the
up.
question, but what about Romans 13?
Yeah.
Right?
Pretty
Yeah.
much. Right.
All right.
Okay. Question 2, numero 2. What is Admin Aaron's full name and bonus if you can pronounce it correctly?
Oh, shoot.
Well,
Because Aaron's not his first name, right?
it's not.
You know, Norm and I should actually know this. 'cause
I know.
it's-
I know the answer to that.
Well, then give it, Norm.
Well, but is that are we supposed to? Okay, it's Tio Sepulveda.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about the TO, man.
Oh, you see,
Teo.
got her.
Wow, he was
Got
more
her.
correct than you.
There you are. You are more correct than me.
I will
That's
say
right.
I must commend you on your pronunciation because you used to say Sepulveda.
I know.
Yeah,
He taught me, and I
Sepulveda.
listened.
Yeah, I did too.
That's right.
I
All right.
I can learn.
You did great, bud. Great job.
Okay. Question 3. What year? Norm, you can't answer this.
I can't. Answer
Nor
this
can you,
one,
Doug. What year was LCI founded?
There is sort of a trick question here on some level.
Yeah, I
Well,
think
31
so wait,
AD.
Is this when libertarian? So is this when Libertarian Christians was founded, or when it became a 501(c)(3)?
Oh, that's a good. Well, I'm going by what the website says as far as when it was founded. So
I'm going to say 03.
2011.
started off as a blog in 2008.
That is
I almost
correct,
said that because Doug, you and I talked about this yesterday.
We did in a
But I
future
couldn't-
episode celebrating that we've already done this episode.
Right.
Yeah. But here now here's the real arcane knowledge. Do you know what it was before it was LCC? Because there is a correct answer to that.
Oh, I know what it was.
Do you really? You know?
LibertarianChristians.com.
No,
No, that's
before
what
it was
he's saying
LCC.
before that. Is it
Oh, before it was
libertarianchristians.blogspot.com?
That's actually correct.
Oh.
Vista server.
Yeah, it was.
Alta
Yeah,
Vista.
it was actually on Blogspot before I bought the domain name. It was. I did some
libertarianchristian.geocities.com.
GeoCities. MySpace. Rob's got MySpace. Okay,
No,
next question.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. When was the first LCI podcast episode published? And I'm just looking for year.
Oh, okay.
300 divided by 12.
Come on.
2017.
Yes, 2017.
Nice.
Jacob's correct.
I know this because I went
Bonus-
back and watched the first episode a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I
You
know I
watched
saw the
it?
date.
Okay.
Bonus question on that. I'm just going to jump in for a second.
Mm-hmm.
What event did we make sure that the first episode was out before we attended?
Was that the Austin?
Trump's
yeah.
inauguration.
Has to be the first Libertarian Christian Conference.
No,
Nope.
that was years prior. No,
Oh,
this was
okay.
a special event that we had really never attended. We had never really attended any conferences before, as a want to say vendor, partner, whatever.
Mhm.
The Mar-a-Lago dinner.
It was the International Students for Liberty Conference,
It was so
okay.
which is now
great.
YALCON.
Got it.
Yeah,
Yep.
we wanted to show up saying we have a podcast.
Those LCI
Ah.
people, very good people. Very good people.
Okay, next question. Norm cannot answer this one. What does LCI founder Norman Horn have a PhD in?
Oh,
Underwater basket weaving.
Chemical
Fair.
engineering.
Yeah, I think it's
Feminism.
chemical
No, I'm just joking.
Feminism.
Chemical engineering. That's
Mike
right.
got it. He knows.
Incorrect
Okay.
theology. Oh, shoot.
Yeah. Oh, ouch. Ouch.
Is that
Ouch.
a euphemism for bartender?
You're not entirely wrong, although sometimes the euphemism is actually overeducated plumbers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Plumbers
this
make
is-
good money though.
this
Do I
is-
mix bleach ammonia? Can I do that?
No, don't do that. Well, you can do that, but
Ammonia is hard to make, guys. Come
And
on.
Amelia is good at treating COVID-19.
Yep,
Yeah. Oh, just drink that.
it is known.
okay. Next question.
Put it
This
in your
has
veins.
this is a multiple choice. Only one answer is correct. I will read the options to you after I read the question. Which is the most downloaded episode of all time? Is it A, episode 122, which is pro-life libertarian women redefine abortion debate? Is it B, episode 130, which is Bob Murphy and Norman Horn talk morality and politics? Or is it C, episode 233, a libertarian Christian reading of Romans 13 with Matthew Bellis?
The one with Doug in it.
Which is the most downloaded episode of all time?
I'm gonna go with C
It's not mine.
because of the
Mike
Romans
says
13
C.
thing.
I actually know the answer.
I think
Oh
it's
yeah,
Carrie.
I know the answer.
I think it's Carrie's. I think that's the reason why she chose this.
I just wanted to
Entirely
show
the
everybody that I
reason.
beat you, Matthew.
Yes.
That's why she did it.
Ouch.
That's why she did it.
Oh, yes,
You would-
it is. Pro-life libertarian women redefine abortion debate.
Nice.
Which Kerry hosted that episode, right? I mean that is right.
No,
Jacqueline did.
Jacqueline.
Jacqueline hosted that?
it, and it was me, Ruth Ryder, and
Elise.
no, Elise wasn't on there. It was just the three of us.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't it?
No,
Or
I
was-
thought there was a fourth.
So Doug wasn't on
No,
that
I
one?
don't think.
No.
No.
Gosh, that's the first time I've been wrong. That's great.
Ah.
Yeah. And I will say that it is.
How did you get through the tech?
Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I was.
yeah.
Oh, you know what? The reason I'm thinking there were four is that I was on there listening because I had signed everybody in, and you guys were all guests, and I was recording. That's what it was back then.
Okay.
That's how we did it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's a great episode.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. This is number 7. How many countries have downloaded our podcast? Is it A, 57, B, 117?
That's such a collectivist
or
question.
C, 160.
I'm going to wait for the audience to participate.
I'm gonna say A.
Survey says.
That's a really interesting question. I don't know the answer to the podcast download. I do know what it is for at least visits to the website.
Nobody's going
Libertarian
to
Dave
try?
says B.
A, B, or C?
Jacob Stevens says C.
There we go. B,
Return of
C.
the Bomba Squad says B, and Carly says B.
Survey says.
The correct
on A.
answer is C, 160.
Wow. That's
Circle gets the
awesome.
square.
Bravo.
global
yeah.
Circle gets the square.
The next
That's
question is even more interesting. Which of these countries have the highest downloads? Is it A, Russia, B, Saudi Arabia, C, China, or D, Kenya?
Oh, I bet I know what that is.
I'm going to go with China.
It's going to be Kenya, right?
That's what I would say.
Mother
No,
Russia.
I would not be surprised at all if it's Kenya.
It is
I
China.
think so too.
It's China.
Yeah.
China not banned in China. Oh, newsflash!
I've
we're
been
not
right
banned
so
in
many
China
times,
yet.
Norm. Been right so many times.
Except the last
Good
one.
people in China,
That's-
except for
that's
Mao.
Is it your
So
third
that's
right?
really interesting. Just like a lot of people don't know. I mean, it hasn't happened as much recently, but we actually have a very interesting kind of pseudo presence in Africa.
Wow.
There's a
Yeah.
couple of folks who are very actively doing work in particular in like Nigeria and Kenya and
Huge in
And-
Zimbabwe.
So
huge in
the order
Zimbabwe.
goes China first, then Kenya, then Russia, then Saudi Arabia.
Okay, what's the? Oh man, we're gonna have to talk later because I want to see how what those stats look like.
wanna see
Not
the
that I
numbers,
dispute you. I'm just curious because I didn't know
Yeah.
that like China has not historically been a because I'd always figured it's because we were getting censored. Quite honestly, because
Yeah.
you looked at the data and it did not look like we were getting traction in China at all. So that's very interesting to me.
Yeah.
No, the podcast goes through. They just redub it with state-approved language.
Oh,
Woman's
that's bad.
13.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question. Which state does yours truly live in? Arizona, New Mexico, or Nevada?
I know. I'm not going to answer.
Everybody on Facebook got this right. I was surprised.
Oklahoma?
Now, when you
Probably
say
they
yours
click-
truly, are you talking about yourself?
Yes, me.
I know the
Yeah.
answer.
Because everybody thinks she lives in a
Arizona.
different state.
No,
Yeah.
no,
Oh,
you said
really?
you said you lived in a desert before, so I think it's Arizona.
Okay. Jacob
Chaz,
says
I'm going to go with
New Mexico.
Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada.
I'm
Answer
certainly white
is-
enough to live there.
Answer is Kenya.
Answer is New Mexico. Everybody in the comments got it right.
Nice.
Oh, there we go.
Yep. I
Yeah.
got my
Enchantment.
degree from Arizona State University, and so people get me confused with Arizona.
Which is wild because she doesn't look like she could actually handle a green chili.
Oh, let me tell you. Hey, by the way, Matt, I
That's
enjoyed the other day, actually last Saturday, a green chili cheeseburger with bacon at the Route 66 diner in Albuquerque. The official
Now
Route
that's
66
something
diner.
I'm going to have to try.
Yes. Yes, you will. All right. That's it. This was a giveaway. So we have 5 winners from, not you guys, from the Facebook group.
I feel like the whole team wins.
We're all winners.
If we're
You're
not
all winners.
winners, that would make us.
Yeah.
Just not MVPs. Okay, so
I want to
here-
recount. This
here
electronic
are-
voting system did not
Here are
work.
the winners from the people who participated in the Facebook event. So number 1, what you get, Doug? Do you remember what they get? It was a bundle.
Yeah, it's a bundle. It's our special. Shoot, I don't have it. I have to go off camera to get it. Our special lapel pin, our special Faith Seeking
Right.
Freedom lapel pin, and copies of Faith Seeking Freedom,
Nice.
Right. Okay. So the
and some
winners,
special bookmarks that'll come along with those books.
yeah. So we have 5 winners. We have Jasmine Boyd, Alexander Tibbetts, David Stevens, Lisa. I'm going to mess up her last name. Mashad, I think. Lisa Mashad, and then Jacob Stevens. Those are the 5 winners. So
Saw Jacob Stevens in here
Lisa
earlier.
Michelle.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Well, thank you, Kerry. Thank you for leading us in the trivia. And of course, everybody, thank you for joining us for this 300th episode and our special guest, Doc Dixon. You guys are all special to me because it's been really fun to get to know all of you as a team. What's kind of cool is that actually tomorrow I get to see almost half of you in person, which is kind of nice. And we'll get to have a fireside
Just the
chat.
bottom half.
Just the bottom half. Yeah, I guess maybe the bottom half. Well, Jacob's coming, so we'll be able to get together and have a fireside chat, and hopefully, if we can record properly, we will have an extended episode, bonus episode, some sort of episode, and maybe all the podcasts.
With
but
your
at least
technical
you
skills
running the
guiding
tech,
us, I trust
Doug?
it'll go well.
Am I running the tech? Well, here's the thing. Norm and I are both running the tech, so there's a 50-50 chance this will fail.
Now listen, I am a college level audio engineer. I have a degree in that, and I'm going to sit back and just watch them fail.
Yes. Well, anyway.
All right.
Well, this has been a lot of fun. We
Doug, sorry, can I just say something real quick?
Oh yes, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I just want to say, if you're watching us live, thank you so much for joining us. If you listen to this after it's been recorded, we appreciate that too. And you can see that we're trying to up our game. We've got a great group of people here. We do a lot with just a very small budget. If it's within your means, please enable us to do more of this. Please go to the donate section of our website and equip us to even grow this message further. We'd love to partner with you if you believe in what we're doing. Thank you so much for your donations. If you're already donating, and if you can give more, we can do more. Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
I'm putting
guys.
out there a $25,000 challenge. $25,000.
The Mar-a-Lago match.
The Mar-a-Lago match.
Wow.
25,000.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining me. Thank you, everybody, for being on part of the live stream. Thank you, Eric, for making sure that we asked people to support us because, it's getting late. We started late because of my impeccable tech skills.
perfect. They were perfect.
Appreciate everybody staying up late, at least if those are on the East Coast. All right. Take care, all.
Live free and flourish.